Warning, watch this video before you get an Encore membership or the Thousand Trails Collection add-on. Mandy and I have been Thousand Trails camping members for 5 years, and for the last 3 years we've purchased the Thousand Trails Collection add-on, which adds another 100 plus campgrounds to our membership, most of which are Encore campgrounds.
Today we want to talk to you about the Encore campgrounds we've experienced. If you're thinking about buying a Thousand Trails membership or an upgrade to your current membership to include Encore, watch this video to the end. First, let's talk about the campsites themselves. Many of the Encore parks we've stayed at have essentially been mobile home parks with small sections for overnight or weekly camping.
In some of these Encore campgrounds, your campsite is surrounded by residential mobile homes. That for us ruins the outdoor camping experience. You feel out of place, and forget about having a campfire.
At Thousand Trails campgrounds, you usually get to choose your own site. However, in the Encore campgrounds, they normally assign you a site, and they're usually the worst ones in the park.
We've had campsites with telephone poles right in the middle, water connections attached to residential homes that we had to use, and campsites so close to the highway we didn't get much sleep.
We've also noticed that many of the Encore parks are in urban settings, and not always in the best neighborhoods. So if you're looking for the traditional camping experience, Encore and even Thousand Trails may not be for you.
But many of us are looking for more of a homey, glamping experience. So we look for more camping resorts.
But we think Encore is using the term resort a little loosely. Most of the campgrounds will have a recreational hall with activities, but the rest of the resort experience is different from park to park, and the conditions of the amenities vary widely.
We've noticed that pictures on the website do not always accurately portray the amenities or the conditions.
In one Encore park, a beautiful mini golf course was pictured, but when we got there, it had been removed, and a much smaller version was in its place.
But there are beautiful Encore parks out there, some with every amenity you could ever want, including gyms and restaurants.
One important amenity that many of the Encore resorts lack, compared to Thousand Trails, is a camp store. Some of us don't want to have to leave the campground. A small store with basic food items and essentials is all you need, but many Encore parks don't have one.
Another convenience a lot of the Encore parks don't have is a propane filling station, and some don't have dump stations, even parks without full hookup sites.
In comparison, most of the Thousand Trails campgrounds do have propane and dump stations.
As we started planning our trips last year, we noticed that many Encore parks are restricted to 55 and older only. There were a few we wanted to stay at but can't because we're not quite old enough. Like for example, out in Arizona, most of the campgrounds out there are for 55 plus people, and that's fine and all, but you're only giving us like 2 or 3 options through the membership. And even in Florida, there's like 3 or 4 campgrounds down there, it's the same story, where you have to be 55 and older. And again, that's fine, but that's less options for the rest of us.
Here's some footage of one of the Encore campgrounds we stayed at in Florida. When we arrived at Holiday Travel, we couldn't find our water connection. We called the office, but of course it was the weekend and the office was closed.
Eventually, we figured out the connection was actually on the residential mobile home behind us. The resident came out and allowed us to hook up our water, but we were told he'd have to disconnect it twice a day to water his plants. We were shocked. We didn't know what to think.
We were surrounded by residential housing. We didn't have any issues with the residents at the campground. They were all very friendly. But again, being stuck in between mobile homes just really takes away from our camping experience.
The majority of the park was residential. There were rows of mobile homes, with RV sites just crammed in between. This took away from one aspect of camping we really enjoy, meeting other campers like you.
We also had some major concerns about the area. There was no security, no gate, and no one watching who was coming into the park. While we were staying there, another YouTuber, Nomadic Fanatic, had his electric bike stolen. We found out that the theft of e-bikes was a regular occurrence in the park. Management was aware of it, but they didn't warn anyone. They didn't tell anyone to take extra measures to secure their belongings. Because of this, we never even took ours out of the car.
There were also quite a few homeless people hanging out around the park. We saw homeless people digging through the campground's dumpsters. Many of the Encore designated sites were right at the entrance, which led into a large open parking lot. This is where many homeless people were hanging out, asking for money, and also where they were entering the park.
As for amenities, they had a relatively nice recreational hall with some activities, a small pool, and a shuffleboard court. They were all in good condition, but that was really it. I certainly wouldn't classify it as a resort.
We don't want you to think that this is the typical Encore park because it's not. This is probably the worst one we stayed at. And we didn't feel unsafe or anything, but this is not the experience we were expecting at an RV resort.
But like we said, there are some great Encore parks. Fiesta Key in the Florida Keys is our favorite campground that we've ever been to. It was beautiful, clean. They picked up our trash right at our site. They even had a restaurant with entertainment. There was a marina and a great little store.
Miami Everglades was also a great Encore park we stayed at. Had a very nice miniature golf course, a nice walking path around the park, and it was in a beautiful natural setting. There were a ton of owls in the campground. We really enjoyed sitting outside at night, listening to them. We've never heard so many owls in a campground before. It was like being in an owl sanctuary. It also had a nice sized pool, and the staff there were very friendly too.
We also really loved staying at Lake Magic near Orlando, Florida. This park is about a half an hour from all of the Central Florida attractions. But if you wanted to stay at the resort for the day, you had plenty to do. There's 2 pools, tennis courts, and a nice recreational hall.
We have videos on all of these great parks if you want to check them out. We gave you the good ones, but there are still a few Encore parks we think you should stay away from.
Vacation Village was another park that was mostly residential. Although it had a good location near Clearwater Beach, we really just didn't find it very welcoming. It felt like the staff and the residents really didn't want campers there that weren't residents.
Another to avoid is Lake Myers RV and Camping Resort in North Carolina. We showed up there 20 minutes early, and they tried to charge us $25 to check in early. They gave us a site that was not big enough for our rig, and then the staff really didn't want to help us. They argued with us, but eventually they let us move. The campground is run down and definitely needs some updating. So we hope that this video has helped you in deciding on if you want to get an Encore membership, or also if you have a 1,000 Trails membership and you want to get that 1,000 Trails collection add-on. We hope that this helps you with that decision.
We also just want to encourage you to do a little bit of your own research. Going by the 1,000 Trails or the Encore website probably isn't the only thing you want to do when you're looking at these campsites. Look up YouTube videos, look up some of the reviews that are out there for these campgrounds, and do a little bit of research so you know what you're getting into when you go to these places.
And you can't always go by how many bad reviews there are, because you're going to find bad reviews for every campground that exists out there. It doesn't matter, but yeah, definitely look at the reviews, and like she said, do some homework and get a good idea of what you're getting into. And we're going to have links below in the description section to all the videos that we've filmed for some of these Encore parks that we were talking about.
Yeah, anything we mentioned in this video will be linked below, so you can check them right out.
So we hope that this helped you. Please give us a thumbs up if it did, and hit that subscribe button. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.